What's really happened over the last 15 to 20 years, where you went from really no awareness of global luxury to the prominence of the most powerful, largest brands. And they drove the market up until about 4 or 5 years ago. That's where all of the luxury consumption happened among a relatively concentrated number of brands. And the consumer who bought at that time knew the brands by name, perhaps had been exposed to them a bit in the West, but mostly just knew the names and would go and buy all of one brand. And we can think of the pictures we saw from 4, 5, 6 years ago of someone stepping out of one of these great brands head to toe in a particular brand. Maybe not a great understanding of why that brand was the best, but an understanding that it was the best, and therefore they wanted to own it and to show other people that they could wear it. What's happened now is a very rapid maturation of the market and a segmentation. So different people are buying different brands for different reasons, and the same person now buys across a much broader spectrum of brands and a much broader spectrum of price point than they once did, and they're becoming more comfortable to express themselves by mixing and matching between brands and mixing and matching between levels. So it's not uncommon in the West. You would have a luxury shopper, and she might very happily shop full price one day, off price the next day, mass market the next day, and then go out on the fourth day with some combination of things that she bought from all of those different channels. That isn't that common in an emerging luxury market, but as people become more confident and have a better understanding of the brands, they'll begin to experiment with that. And it really is a form of self-expression. How do I put together these different elements from different brands? What that means is that while the big brands are still, the big luxury brands are still incredibly important in the market, there's a lot of room in the market for many other kinds of brands, both luxury and even fast fashion kinds of brands. So you see a lot of smaller luxury brands that can move in, less known brands that can move in. It's tough to find distribution, but if you can get your distribution right, the customer is certainly there for those things. So we've seen that move away from mono brand, 6 to 10 key brands, to now hundreds of brands that are present in the marketplace, and consumers will shop across brands, across price points, and across channels. You read a lot today about the question, should I go to China or shouldn't I go to China? Whether it's a luxury brand or a mass brand or a fast fashion brand. Again, it's almost the wrong question. If you're going to be a global business today, I don't know how you don't go to the largest market in the world. Still the biggest opportunity in the world. There's a lot of other emerging growth markets, both throughout Asia. You see them in Africa, you see them in South America. Lots of emerging growth markets. In the end, the scale and the opportunity in China today is still the biggest thing to talk about for the foreseeable future. 5 years ago, we could talk about the Chinese consumer, and you could paint a relatively consistent picture of the Chinese consumer and understand what that meant. Today, there's no such thing as the Chinese consumer. They've fragmented and segmented very rapidly. The market moves much more quickly than the West is used to. And so those changes and those evolutions and developments in the market happen. If you're away for 6 months, you miss something that's happening. If you're away for 3 months, you miss something that's happened. It's happening that quickly there. Well, the upper middle class Chinese consumer. And this is sometimes hard to recognize in Western terms, but the upper middle class Chinese consumer we define as somebody who is earning between $40,000 and $75,000 US annually household income. Now in the West, $40,000 to $75,000 would not by any means be considered upper middle class. The reason it is in China is that they have about 75 to 80%. This is a young consumer. This is a 25 to 35-year-old consumer. They have a much higher percentage of that they can spend because their housing is taken care of by their family, the car is taken care of by their family, and most of what they earn is spending money. So you can imagine here in London, if you wanted to have 30,000, 40,000 pounds of just spending money, how much you would have to be earning as total income. You would in fact be upper middle class. That upper middle class in China is about 180 million people today. It will grow to over 500 million people in the next 10 years. So whatever one may say about the broader economy, there's a huge amount of dynamism and growth in that core upper middle class customer that we're interested in. And then of course the wealthy customer, the top 1-2% of the market, continues to grow much faster than anywhere else in the world. That means that the consumer base for luxury goods and discretionary goods, not just luxury goods, is growing every day. And we see it. You can see it just being on the streets of Shanghai or being in any of the tier 1 and tier 2 cities in China.